Hey guys, my name is Jenna Gazaway, and today we're going to be reading through The Library by Sarah Stewart. This was also illustrated by her husband, David Small. A few of their other books won Caldecott Honors for children's picture books. This is one of my all-time favorite picture books from growing up. I think when I was really little, I really appreciated all of the watercolor pictures shown in the book. I think the art in here is really neat. And I do love and identify with the character Elizabeth Brown. So, before we begin, I would like to pose a question of what connections do you have with going to libraries, especially in your childhood? Do you have any fond memories or ways in which that you think you might be able to connect to our character? So, starting out, Elizabeth Brown entered the world, dropping straight down from the sky. Elizabeth Brown entered the world skinny, nearsighted, and shy. So here we see Elizabeth coming to meet her mommy. Down here we have this funny looking bird. Does anyone know what kind of bird this is? You might have seen it in the movie Dumbo. They're called storks, and they're known for bringing babies to meet their mommies. Also, if we look at the picture, we can see a little kitty running outside of the page and another black kitty in the back. We might want to remember these because they seem to be a theme. She didn't like to play with dolls. She didn't like to skate. She learned to read quite early and at an incredible rate. So we see another illustration down here. To me, that looks like a baby in a crib reaching for some books. I don't know how many babies that love to read. Also, can we find the kitties in this picture? So I see the orange and black one down here. We also have a little teddy bear that's reading with Elizabeth. And maybe her peers are in the background skating while she'd rather read. She always took a book to bed with a flashlight under the sheet. She'd make a tent of covers and read herself to sleep. I know when I was little, I'd love to read myself to sleep or have my parents read myself to sleep. Do you have anyone in your life that likes to read to you? I think my mommy did a lot. Here we also see the teddy bear reading with her again. Can we find the kitty? I see him at the end of the bed. Elizabeth Brown went off to school, dragging a steamer trunk. So she's a little bit older now. Elizabeth Brown unpacked her books, breaking the upper bunk because she had so many books. Who do we think these people on the wall are? Probably some authors from her novels. We also see the teddies with her again, even at college. She sat in all her classes and doodled on a pad, adrift in dreams of entering a reader's Olympiad. How do we think her teacher feels about Elizabeth's doodling? Doesn't look like very good, huh? What do we see her students doing? Are they looking at her a little strange? She manufactured library cards and checked out books to friends, then shocked them with her midnight raids to collect the books again. So she would let her friends borrow books, but not for too long. Elizabeth Brown preferred a book to going on a date. While friends went out and danced till dawn, she stayed up, reading late. So we see Elizabeth here reading her book till late in the night. What do we notice here on the wall? Does anyone recognize where that rabbit might be from? It looks to me like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. We know that story. We also see her teddy and her kitty is with her again. She took the train one afternoon and promptly lost her way. So bought a house and settled down to tutoring for pay. So her job ends up being teaching others how to read. Do you think you can find her teddy in this picture? I think if you look real closely, you can see him in her pocket. I like that when she lost her way, she didn't give up. She found a new life. Elizabeth Brown walked into town, summer, fall, winter, and spring. Elizabeth Brown walked into town looking for only one thing. What do you think that thing is? She didn't want potato chips, and she didn't want new clothes. She went straight to the bookstore. May I have one of those? Here we can see her little black kitty again. And now we're introduced to a little white kitty. And there's Teddy with her again. Elizabeth Brown walked right back home and read and read and read. Black Kitty's being a little mischievous. She even read while exercising and standing on her head. Do you read while standing on your head? I don't. Teddy's doing it with her too. She made a list of groceries and tucked it in her book, then lost the list among the fruits and left with nothing to cook. She's kind of absorbed in the book again. Store owners look a little confused. She read about Greek goddesses while vacuuming the floor. Attending only to her book, she'd walk into the door. That doesn't look too safe. We see Orange Kitty and Teddy here again. Now it looks like the white kitty lives with her. Books were piled on top of chairs and spread across the floor. Her shelves began to fall apart as she read more and more. Big books made very solid stacks on which teacups could rest. Small books became the building blocks for busy little guests. Can you find Teddy and the kitty in this one? I'll let you find them on your own here. When volumes climbed the parlor walls and blocked the big front door, she had to face the awful fact she could not have one more. That had to be hard for Elizabeth, I think. So, take a look at all of her books. She has so many books, they're even coming out of the page. Quite a problem. Elizabeth Brown walked into town that very afternoon. Elizabeth Brown walked into town whistling a happy tune. She didn't want a bicycle. She didn't want silk bows. She went straight to the courthouse. May I have one of those? What do you think she's asking for this time? The form was for donations. She quickly wrote this line. I.E. Brown, give to the town all that was mine. So here's what looks like a courthouse and her writing her name. So what do you think she ended up doing with her books? It seems like she donated them. So we see here, this is her home. Remember, she bought it in the winter. And it says here that she turned her home into what is now called the Elizabeth Brown Free Library. So that sounds like to me that she gave all of her books to the town for free. She didn't gain anything from giving all of her books away. So we see here that people are very much enjoying this new library. There's some little kids, some older kids, maybe some bigger kids, some adults. Very generous of Elizabeth. Elizabeth Brown moved in with a friend and lived to a ripe old age. So here we see she's a little bit older looking here. I think this was the friend she used to loan books to. Maybe. They walked to the library day after day and turned page after page. So here's her and her friend walking to the library. We got all three kitties with her. There's also something special about this page. Can you see what I'm talking about? There's a girl back here who's also enjoying her books. I think those are the books that Elizabeth donated. It's pretty cool. After page. We end with Kitty and Teddy. The end. So, I hope you enjoyed the story. Again, I would ask, what do you think was so drawing to Elizabeth about reading and books and storytelling? I think that she was a very smart little girl and was able to enjoy all the places that books could take her, especially when you're dealing with being shy. So, I hope you enjoyed. Oh, look, the kitty's on the back page. But thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you gained a little tidbit on reading.